Hi everybody, welcome back, glad you could tune in again. The book of Ruth is a love story. Of course, it's lots of other things besides that, but it is at the very least a love story. It's a story of a man and a woman who met and whose relationship developed and who fell in love and who got married. And so whenever you're reading a love story, it's always worth asking the obvious question, isn't it? What is it that made her fall for him and what is it that made him fall for her? And today I want to explain what it is that made Boaz fall in love with Ruth. It's quite interesting, actually, because you think about it, one of the questions we need to ask is, why on earth isn't he married already? He's an older man, chapter 3 says so, and he's living in a culture where it's very rare for a man not to be married, especially a reasonably wealthy man like he is, especially a somewhat older man. What's happened that means that he hasn't chosen to get married? It's extremely rare, almost like a kind of personal or cultural statement. We can only assume, I think, that this godly man had not found in the young ladies that he'd met so far the traits that he was looking for in a godly wife. But he found them in Ruth. So what were they? Well, we saw a couple of days ago one of the most significant things, and it's the first thing that Boaz notices about Ruth when he first meets her. It's not how she looks. That might be what the other men were looking for, but it's not what Boaz is looking for. Boaz noticed that she's not a victim. She refuses to allow her plight to define her. She refuses to allow her circumstances to so overwhelm her that she cannot see beyond them and she only portrays herself as a victim of those circumstances. No, despite the fact she doesn't know the language much, she doesn't know the culture pretty much at all, she's moved away from her native land, she's lost her husband and left behind everything that was familiar and come with a grumpy mother-in-law to a place which is just emerging, or probably still in the midst of, some fairly serious civil strife. She comes to that place and she refuses to be a victim. And Boaz notices this and is struck by it. But there's something else. There's something else about Ruth which Boaz notices, which is so profoundly attractive to a godly man like him, that it seems that it's this, coupled with her refusal to be a victim, that, so to speak, tips him over the edge. I don't want to tell you what it is. Gratitude. Thankfulness. Ruth is deeply, profoundly grateful to Boaz for his kindness to her. And that gratitude and thankfulness becomes evident as the conversation continues in chapter 2. Remember where we left off 2 or 3 days ago? Boaz has been talking to her and he's just said, when you're thirsty, go have a drink and stick close to the other young ladies who are working in my field. You'll be fine with them. But then she responds in verse 10. Let me read what happens. Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, a gesture of respect and deference to an older, socially more higher standing individual in the ancient world. That's how you might respond to them, but only if you were deeply respectful yourself. And said to him, "Why have I found favour in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?" And she continues in verse 13, "I have found favour in your eyes, my lord, for you have comforted me and spoken kindly to your servant, although I am not one of your servants." She's not even his servant. She's not even anything much. She's a foreigner, she points out, as though he didn't realise. She notices, you see, she realises that there's nothing that she is and nothing that she has that places any kind of claim upon him. And she's overflowing with gratitude, with thankfulness. She can hardly find the words to express her gratitude to him for taking notice of her, despite the fact that she's really nothing. And that disposition, that recognition that we are nothing, we're born with nothing, we bring nothing into the world and take nothing out of it, as somebody once said, is so astonishingly rare in today's world, even tragically, in many Christian circles. It's worth just thinking about how significant it is. Gratitude is not just the thing that stops you being a victim. I mean, it is that. You realise that there are others who are so much worse off than you, and no one owes you a living anyway, and if your plight or your circumstances are difficult, well, there are countless millions, probably billions of others who have been worse off than we are. Gratitude is the thing which stops you overturning ancient historical and social and political institutions just because you think right now they're not serving your best interests. Because somebody who is grateful will realise that we have been richly, richly blessed in our society because of what, admittedly flawed, but good, flawed individuals did in ages past. Gratitude is the thing that stops in its tracks the entitlement mentality that imagines that somebody owes me something. Gratitude is the thing which puts paid to any kind of resentment, any kind of bitterness or complaining. If I don't get what I want, gratitude for what I still nonetheless have will stop me complaining about it. You start to see why gratitude is clearly in such short supply in many circles. And gratitude, of course, is the thing that stops me envying what other people have. There will always be people who have more than we do. Gratitude for what the Lord has blessed us with is the thing that will stop us going green with envy as we look at what other people have been blessed with. And so this is how the bride looks to her future husband. Fittingly, in fact, of course it's a picture of godly femininity. Actually, it's a picture of godly faith as well, for both men and women as the bride of the Lord Jesus Christ. This is how we ought to look to our husband, the Lord Jesus Christ, with gratitude. And I wonder whether we could all do with quite a lot more of it. Well, the Lord bless you, and I hope very much to see you all very soon. Bye for now.